Hello all my YouTubers, this is Star with H&S Designs Now, and today's video I want to take this very beautiful Labradorite cabochon and we are going to make a pendant necklace. So you obviously have seen the little picture at the very beginning when you clicked on it, so you know what it turns out like. I don't at this point. That's future Star. But anyway, this is a very beautiful Labradorite. It's got some gorgeous colors in it, and I've had it for a little while, a few months. Been thinking, what do I, how do I want to make it? What do I want to do with it? I've just now figured it out. So, in this video, we're going to use 18 gauge natural copper core, the non-tarnish. So this is the one that's coated with a non-tarnish, so it'll keep this pretty copper color. 26 gauge natural, so it's the same, it's got the coating, and it's going to stay this pretty color. Of course, you want your stone. You do not have to use a Labradorite like I'm doing. You don't even have to use the same size as what I'm using. I don't even know what size it is. Let me see. This is about a little over 1.5 inches. This is about 4 centimeters long. Okay, from top to bottom, it's about 4 centimeters. So that'd be 40 millimeters. So I want to say that this is a 40 by 30. I could be wrong, something like that. Gives you a rough estimate of what size this stone is. So you can use any stone, any size you want, whatever. The tools that I'm going to have on hand, of course you want flush cutters so you can cut your wires. I'm going to keep on hand my bent nose pliers. I like to use my flat nose. I'm going to keep on hand my nylon jaws, so if the wire kind of gets a little weird looking. And then also my bail making pliers for when we go to make the bail. I can just use this to wrap around. If you don't have a set of these, you can always use a pen, or if you've got like a knitting needle, anything like that, you can definitely use just whatever size you want, because I think I'll probably end up using the largest on this anyway. So I'm going to get a couple of these kind of put aside, because I've got it, little handy dandy thing right over here. Woo, and it falls off, yay. And we're going to get started. So for this, I don't have an exact layout right now, but I'm just going to kind of show you as we go, and hopefully it'll turn out the way I'm thinking, how I have it like in my head. So gonna start off with getting the 18 gauge natural, and of course I still have this handy clip. I think for this, because it's gonna be kind of an Elvish type of looking, I'm not entirely sure, so I'm gonna get, let's see, I want to get a little more, let's see, I'm going to get out 2 lengths of 20, so I'm going to get 40 inches in total, which I know you can't see me measuring, but it is what it is, Sorry. Alright, so that's my 40 inches of my 18 gauge wire. So now I'm going to just kind of set these aside. I always like to put that piece back on there. It just kind of keeps it nice and tidy. So at this point, what I'm going to do, so we don't need the 26 gauge just yet. And I will say that you can probably do this wrap. If I can get it done the way I'm thinking, you should be able to do this with square wire if you choose, square and half round wire, because that's basically, you would substitute the 18 gauge round for a square wire, and you would substitute the 26 gauge round for a half round wire. Now if I were to do that, I would probably use like an 18 gauge square wire with a 20 gauge half round wire. That would be my suggestion, but you don't have to do that. You do what you want. Okay, so I have a really messy work desk. I have to clean it up. So first off, you want to find both ends, okay, and you want to come down and you want to find the middle. And it doesn't have to be the exact, but you want it pretty close. So I'm just going to bring it together with a loop. And that's just so I know that's pretty well the center of the wire. Now this is when I'm going to come in with my pliers, which it doesn't have to be your bent nose. You just use whatever you wish to use. And you can see I'm just kind of bending it and pushing it, trying to make it pretty well a point. I want a really nice point right here. And it's going to kind of move on you. It happens. Okay, just be patient. Take your time. Okay. And of course, because this is round wire, you're not going to get it to an exact point, but it's going to be pretty close. Okay. So I want to make sure my wire's right here. So now what I'm going to do, okay, you see how it turned out right there. And I'm going to kind of flail them out a little bit. I'm going to use my nail just a little. Okay, and I actually want it a little further down because I didn't want it to stick out so far. And I actually need this. I'm going to do like this right here. So you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing and exactly how I'm doing it, but you get a good idea. It's always my thought that you can take what I'm doing and add your own spin to things. So there's going to be the bottom. It's essentially going to kind of sit something like that. Okay. I actually want this tip to be a little bit more defined if it is possible. So I'm going to come in one more time and trying to make sure I stay on camera while I do this. Push it together just a little more if it'll go. And be careful not to mar up your wire too much. It will happen. It can happen. That's why I'm just kind of a little pressure at a time. And that's pretty good. That's together pretty well. Woo! Sorry about that. So there's the end of my wire so far. I like how that come to a really pretty nice point. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold that right there. That's where I want this point to be. I'm going to wrap this end in, okay, like that. Hopefully get it to stay because this is where it's going to be kind of important. At least this is the idea that I have in my head. And then I'm going to wrap this side, okay. So you want to kind of get it even. About as even as you can. So I got to come down just a little bit on this part. And then I'm going to put that back in. Let's see. All right, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so that's pretty good of how I wanted it to look. I know it's hard to see. Sorry about that. So that's about how I wanted that part to look. So now what I got to do is I got to flip this over. Got to go off camera to flip it over. Try to keep that about right there. Now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to curve this in again. Okay, so this is going to be behind on the back. Flip this around. Ooh, all my stuff. I need to clean my table, seriously. And flip that around. Okay, I'm actually going to bend that in just a little more. All right, so again, let me see how that's turning out. Okay. All right, so now that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But I see I've got more space on this side than I do that side. But let's see. And because I'm just kind of freestyling, I have an idea, but I'm just kind of freestyling it, you know, seeing what I come up with. And that's a lot of how I do. I'll watch tutorials on YouTube, honestly, and I'll be like, oh, I like that, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something else, you know, and that's perfectly okay. So now that I've got that wrapped around, so you see the wire that's coming out here is the exact same wire that's coming off right here. It just went, okay. Because I really want to show off this Labradorite. This is such a beautiful Labradorite. I really wanted to show it off. And I probably have entirely too much wire, but that's okay. So now I'm going to come up and I'm going to put a nice curve right there. Okay, and I'm going to do my best to attempt to do the same thing on the opposite side. Trying to keep my stone in place exactly how and where I want it. Okay. So I do have a little bit more of a bend right there. That's okay. Because really, I didn't want to bend it. I don't know why I bent it. Oh, I'm not thinking. Because this is the part where I want to make my bail. So I really do want, so as you can see, actually, it kind of holds it a little bit, and that's good. That's kind of what my thoughts were. But I do need to fix these wires right here. So I'm going to slide this out because I did want a lot more of a nice, gentle curve. I really want it to look very Elvish. Because it seems like people like that, and that's okay. So here's where nylon jaws are going to come in handy. Just to kind of get that wire straight. Same for this one. Okay, and you don't have to do this. This is just me and my preference, kind of. So I need to now get that to bend in just a little more. Let's see. I'm going to pop this back in here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bend it down and then bend it just a little more. And it may not be perfect. And if you don't want it to be perfect, that's completely okay. I've made plenty of pieces where it was just completely lopsided and just did not turn out how I wanted it to. But I left it and I loved it. It turned out really gorgeous. So you don't have to do perfect all the time, you know. But let's see. I want that to straighten up a little more. And you know, I think that's going to be okay. Because now I'm going to, let's see, I think that's going to be fairly nice. Yeah. Could have done better with that part right there, but it's good enough. So I'm going to take my stone out. And actually, I'm going to pop my stone right back in one more time. And yeah, about half a finger's worth is where I want to start for my bail. So about right here. Okay, so I have a rough idea of where I want it. Now I'm going to get out my 26 gauge, pull off a pretty good amount. I don't really measure my weaving or wrapping wire, but let's see. I've got almost a full arm span of this, not quite. That's about how I measure usually. I don't usually measure this in inches. But I do usually run my hands along the wire just to kind of warm it up, straighten it up just a little bit. Okay. So now, woo! I'm moving stuff. I'm hitting stuff. Sorry about that. So this is where this is going to be a very simple wrap. This is why I suggest that you can use a half round wire and a square wire, because this is going to be a very simple bail. I'm just going to hold onto the wire, and I'm simply, very, very simply going to wrap this around just like you would with a half round wire. Now, if you have a 24 or 22 gauge, or even a 20 gauge, and you want to use that, by all means, go for it. This is just what I have. This is just what I've just decided to use. So I'm going to flatten that down real good, and I'm going to make sure it's really close together. It's how I want it. So I want it to be a little lower, a little bit lower. Yeah, about right there, I think. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep wrapping for about an inch or so more. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I will meet you back when I get that done. Alright guys, so I'm back, and you can see I've got about an inch or so of our 26 gauge wire wrapped just plain, just kind of coiled around both of sides of our base wire. Okay, and you can see I haven't done any adjusting at all. I've just done the coils, and I do try to make sure I keep it nice and tight and flat. So I do go through every now and then after I get a few made, and I just kind of come in and with my nylon jaws, flatten them down really nice. Okay, so we're going to see how this turns out, how this holds it. So luckily with this, you can still kind of adjust the wires if necessary. And you know, that holds it pretty nice. That's doing a really good job. Okay, so here's where I want to bend the wire in, and here's where I'm going to come in with where'd it go? Right here, with my flat nose, because I want to do a nice sharp bend. And I'm actually going to push this out of the way a little bit. Nice sharp bend right on top. Boom. Right like that. Okay. And it's kind of crooked. That's really good. Good job, Star. So I just straighten it up a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. You can always fix it. It's just wires, you know. So I'm going to push that on down. That's coming out really nice. I really like how that's looking. Really, really good. So this is going to be a very simple, again, it's going to be a very simple way to wrap a stone. And I'm seeing now that my stone is actually just a hair crooked, and that's okay, because I can move things around. Wire is 3-dimensional, luckily, and that's been something that I've had to kind of wrap my mind around, is that I keep treating it as it's 2-dimensional. So, you see, I have a lot of this 18 gauge wire left over. For a reason, I was thinking about doing a little extra spiffy wire wrapping, but I am kind of running low on the 26 gauge, and that is quite alright. So I'm going to coil around just one of these wires, and I'm just choosing the bottom wire, or this one, the one to the right. How about that? How about those beans? Yeah. Just a few times, just on its own, just so that I kind of have a bit of separation from the bail and from any kind of decorative wrapping that I choose. No specific amount of times that I'm wrapping it. I think that looks like 5 times. And you can see there's a gap between the two. Now that's kind of hard to see. There's a gap between where this ends and that begins, and that's because the wires were completely side by side, really nice, and now I'm separating them out. So, yeah. So now that I've got 5 on there, now I'm going to wrap both of them again twice. This is just what I'm choosing to do. You can do whatever you choose to do. Okay. And then I'm going to do another 5 on the bottom. And I'm going to hope and pray that I have enough of this 26 gauge wire. Okay. This makes 3. This makes 4. And this one's 5. And again, I'm going to come back up around both, and I'm going to wrap both. And I do want them to lay side by side. I do not want them to continue, you know, going out like they are. I want them side by side. They're just not as tight as what they are here. Again, this is just a choice that I'm making to do. Okay, so there's 2. So now I'm going to go back to wrapping 5 times around the bottom. And I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go off camera, and then I'm going to finish this wrapping. That makes 4, and then this one makes 5. Okay. I'm going to finish this up, okay, and when I get done doing all of that, meet you back here. We'll see what we do. Alright, so I'm back. You see that I have a few inches, about maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, something like that, of the 5-2 weave is what I'm calling it. Because, I mean, come on, 5, and then 2, and then 5, and then 2. And then the rest of the wire, I just coiled around this end. I've still got tons of this left, and it's okay. I'm hoping this will still end up as somewhat thought. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to cut. I'm going to have about that much, however much that is, a few centimeters, and about the same on this side. Alright, so that's how much wire I have left. That's a lot of wire, but I'll save that for another time. So here is where, okay, so we also do still have this end. Okay, so I did finish up that end. Luckily, I didn't have to cut anything off. And with this one, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get these, and I'm actually going to try to feed it through so that I can just kind of wrap it a couple times to kind of help secure the wire a bit. Let's see how it goes. I don't know how well this is going to turn out, but we're going to try at least a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? Just to kind of help secure it, like I said. And just through and around. And I have been doing my best to try to keep these wires straight, because especially as I was doing this part, the wires did kind of want to turn on me. So I was trying to keep it. So I think right there, even though I usually do more than 2, but on this time I think I'm just going to kind of leave it at 2. Left just the tiniest bit of a tail. Try to tuck that in a little bit if it's possible. And that way, yes, that's out of the way. That's really good. Okay, so now, again, I want to come in, straighten that up, get it looking fairly good. Okay, so now I'm going to come in, bell making pliers, and I'm going to come in, like I said, with this largest one right here. And see, I'm going to come up just a tiny bit more, so you see about how far I've come up. I was sitting all the way down, and I'm going to come up to about right there, so I'm leaving about a centimeter, something like that. Not too much. All right, because I do want this right here to come over. So it's actually going to make it a bit smaller, but that is okay. Woo! And there goes the stone, but that's all right. That's all right. That's all right. No need to panic. So I'm going to bend that so it kind of gets that part out of the way. And so it actually is going to have to go on in, but this is quite all right. This is what I was expecting. So now I'm going to try to hopefully slip my stone back in here before I get too far. Yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. And get that straightened up, centered up, and everything. Again, really good. All right, so, and I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm not one to make things perfectly, okay? Because the average crafter, you're not going to get things perfect. You know, it is what it is. So I'm going to kind of line that one up pretty good. All right, so now here comes this. And what do we want to do with it? Because I just wanted it as like a decoration. Just something nice to look at. Now you can leave it down straight and then take the ends and like coil it and loop it on the ends or something. Because I really want to leave this open and let it really show through how absolutely beautiful this stone is. You could do multiple things. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't even have to do all of this wire wrapping. Since I'd gotten all that wire out, I wanted to use it, you know. And I think I'm going to do something like that. That might just be an option. I think I'm going to leave this, and I'm probably going to coil it up. I don't know. Let's see. For one, this stone just does not want to sit quite properly how I wanted it to sit. Here we go. I think that's okay. Something like that. And something you can always do is just have it come around instead and kind of be a bit of a decoration on the front. I kind of like that. Just a little bit of a decoration. I don't want a whole lot, you know. Like I said, I really wanted the stone to shine, so to speak, on this. Because it's so pretty that I love it. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I think... Get that to sit right. I think that looks pretty nice. And then just to tuck these in, tidy them up. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do on this one. So I'm just going to, let's see, I'm going to put those up. For right now, I'm going to put those up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up coiling this a little bit. So we will need some round nose pliers. So I'm going to cut this down. Yeah, no. About right here. It's whatever you want to do because you're working on yours and you're watching me work on mine. So that's the difference. You do what you want if you're working on something similar. Whoops, I keep hitting that doggone arm. It's like I should know it's there by now, shouldn't I? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed that end up and through, and you get. Okay, and then there we go. See, that kind of helps secure. And you see, I kind of marred my wires a little bit, and I didn't intend to. Kind of too late now. So, check my stone placement again to make sure it sits where I want it. Okay, and then I'm going to leave this one just as long as it is, especially because of how much the coiling I have on the wire itself. I'm going to coil it up. And when I do my coils, I like them fairly tight. You do not have to do that. That's entirely on you. I'm going to set these aside, and then I'm going to get these back out. I'll pull this up just a little bit so that I can do this part. And then I'm actually going to do the same. I'm going to kind of lift this piece up just a hair, kind of feed it through, and then I'm kind of messing it up. Oh, don't do that. That's what I was wanting, yes. Kind of uncoil it just a little bit, if I can get it to. Cooperate already. Okay. Because I just want... There we go. There we go. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted right there. Alright, let's see how this is looking, because that does affect these wires up at the front. And you know, I do believe that's our finished pendant. That looks pretty doggone good to me. And you know, it secures it pretty good. It's a little loose, but I don't think that that's going to come out. That's not going to come out anytime soon. I really like it. And if you like, if you want to secure it more, you actually could secure it more. You could use a little bit more of your 26 gauge and kind of wrap this on there a little bit or something. You could do some wraps onto that part. I'm actually going to straighten that up just a little bit. Push them together. There we go. There we go. Yeah. So I really wanted that to be really straight. And that's, yes, that is my finished pendant, my finished Elvish pendant. Now, one thing you could do is you could also take like a copper bead and just wrap it a little bit right there. That might help a little bit. You could do something up here, anything like that. Just whatever your thoughts end up being. But I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that it was beneficial for you, that it helped you. Maybe it sparked your creativity to make something. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please leave those down in the comment section below. If you have not subscribed to my channels, please hit that subscribe button to get notifications for future tutorials, and hit that bell notification icon so it does definitely notify you. And if you would like to purchase this or anything else that you have seen me make, I do have a Facebook page. It's over facebook.com/HNS Designs Now, where I have this and many more other items up for sale. So you guys have a beautiful day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.